Welcome to a very grisly beginning to the video. This is literally the screen it popped up with when I loaded up the game. It's the gallows at Valentine in the rain, but that's not got much to do with this video, so I'll introduce the video properly. This video is just going to be a little video about the photo mode in Red Dead. I've loved the photo mode in Red Dead. I hadn't done any photo mode in any video game until Red Dead, and then I started playing around with it and then fell in love with it, and I've taken probably about 30 gigs worth of pictures in Red Dead up until this point. And now that I'm playing it on my PlayStation 5, it looks even better, and so I've just started taking pictures again, and I just wanted to share with you all the sort of pictures that I take, how I take them, what I do to get the like the contrast up on my pictures, how I use the exposure to get silhouetted pictures that I really like taking in Red Dead. Yes, this is just going to be a nice little chill stream, taking some pictures, running around with Arthur, and I also want to show you a couple of things as well with what you can do with photo mode. So I hope you enjoy it, and let's get started. Okay, right, here we are. So, in this video, let's take some pictures. I want to show you guys basically just what I do, kind of how I take pictures in Red Dead. It is just, this is a different playthrough, as you can see. As you can see by my horse, who also is called Apollo. This is the Missouri Foxtrotter, one of my favourite horses in the game. So, it is just a coincidence we're in Valentine. So what I like to do is, I like to get a good shot with sun, obviously, because light always makes pictures better. Obviously, darkness can make good pictures too, but I think we're in free cam. No, we're not. Okay, right. So I always go into free cam. I don't usually use orbit. Free cam, I think it's a lot easier to get a good picture, and you can get exactly what you want. So this is actually quite nice. It's already a nice framing. I like the pose that Arthur's got. It's just a shame my horse is in the background, so we might be able to get my horse out of it a little bit. We've got his butt in the picture. Although, actually, it might be quite nice to... So, okay. So, I thought horse out of the picture now. That's still quite nice, but I quite liked the first one. Here we go. So, I personally quite like using, like, negative space. So, negative space basically means that there's that side of the screen to the right of Arthur where there's just nothing in it. So, I quite like that. Although that's quite a good picture too. That's a little bit too far out, so I'm going to go one more in and just move the camera back just a tiny bit, just because I do like getting his whole hat in it for some reason. Although I actually quite like that. So I sometimes putting a roll on it, I don't mind. I think putting the roll on the camera, so going right or left, makes it better. Like I quite like it this side, so onto the left, rolling it to the left. Right's nice too, but I actually quite like rolling it to the right, left even. I think that's quite a nice picture. Then I usually take all of the blur strength, or a lot of the blur strength down anyway. And then this is the bit I struggle with usually. I struggle with the focus, just because I would like all of Arthur in focus here right now. So I start to see it going on the focus on like his beard. It's like the first one I see. And then I put it forward a little bit so his hat's sort of in focus as well. But I quite like that. I think that's quite good. Exposure. Now this is why I like going somewhere where the sun is like right on Arthur, because it's natural source of light. So I then usually bring the exposure down just a tiny bit. I don't lock it, because then I go into contrast, and I like to put the contrast up just a little bit. Now if it goes a little bit too dark, like that's potentially going a little bit too dark, I'll cycle back round into exposure and I'll put the exposure just back up just a little bit. So I think around about there. So it's nice, we've got a little bit of contrast in the picture. We've then got a little bit of exposure popped back up so it's not dark. And then filters, to be honest, very, very rarely use filters. There's a couple that I quite like, so I'll leave everything else as is. In this part of the map, so in the Hanover, sort of near Valentine through to Emerald Ranch can't speak. In this area from the Hanover to the Emerald Ranch region of this map, the red pass works really well. I don't know why, but the red that it turns the grass and the trees and then the blue of the sky, it works really well together. So I don't mind the red pass, but just in this part of the map, blue pass also works very well because it makes Arthur pop quite a lot. So we can see here that everything else is sort of a bluey red, a blue kind of purplish color. And then Arthur's obviously he's got the black of his hat and he's got the black of his coat in this coat that I'm wearing and the kind of beigey color of his coat. If I'm wearing a different coat, so like in our playthrough, if I'm wearing like that red coat, that really pops out against this blue pass because you've got the sort of bluey purple of the fauna and the grass and the trees and the blue of the sky, and then you get this bright red coat like stand out. It looks really nice. And I think the only other one I quite like is the noir one, but you've got to be really careful with this. So right now you can see that Arthur's like face is quite blown out. So you have to be really careful using the noir filter because you've got to get that light just right. Because otherwise he's just blown out. The whiteness is blown out. So I don't mind noir, but it has to be used at the right sort of when the lighting's right and when like the background's right as well. Because like if it's at night, it's way too dark, I think. And you don't see anything. The Western's not bad. Dishonorable is probably that's the one I go for if I'm going for a black and white. I have done a couple using the noir filter, and it really is a hit and miss for me on if it's a good picture or not. I don't like these ones that move. Menu's not bad, but that is quite dark. Yeah, I don't think I've used any of these. I don't get. It's funny. If you were going for a funny picture, then that one's great. But I think, yeah, they're the ones that I only really use. So this is the picture that we had. I then just simply remove the HUD and then take a screenshot. And yeah, that's our picture. I will then sometimes sort of, so we've got that one picture like that. I'll then sort of move it around. So I like doing silhouettes as well. So I quite like that. It's not a silhouette, but I quite like the back of it. So I quite like that. I like the kind of let's have the sun not completely. So we've got a little bit kind of coming over his hat, maybe. Just a little bit. We might have to tweak the. Yeah, we might have to tweak the exposure just a little bit, but I quite like that. So obviously once we've moved the camera, we have to then change the focus again. And in this case, I'm probably going to fiddle with the exposure just a little bit, just so that sun isn't as bright. So let's get the focus back. So for this bit, my point of reference for my focus would probably be his ears or the rope around his hat. There we go, so that's just gone past it. So yeah, see, this is where I struggle. So I think he's out of focus there, so let's pull the focus back. There we go. I think that's in focus. I sit quite far away from my TV, so that also probably doesn't help. So there we go. So that's in focus. I won't fiddle with the blur strength because I think that's fine because you've got the trees aren't quite in focus, but they're not in focus. So let's pop the exposure just down just a little bit, just so it's not so bright. There we go. So I think that's I quite like that, but that might be a little bit too dark. So I'm going to put it up. I think what I usually do is I play around. So like I think this is too dark, but I want to see what it looks like. So I do quite like that, but I do think that's too dark. So I'm going to try going back to the contrast, and we'll put the contrast back to normal. But it just then I don't like I didn't like what the colors mixed. So I'm going to take a picture like that because I think that looks. I think I like that. So we'll take one picture with the exposure quite low, and then we will put the exposure back up just a little bit. Okay, so that's just a little bit lighter. That's, I think, too bright. That, I think, that's probably what a lot of people would probably like because it's not so dark. So we remove the HUD and we take another picture. Because it's great that you can just use to save the photo. So I'm on PlayStation, so you press the X and it does just save the photo, but you've then got to go into the social club to retrieve it and it gets filled up. So like I have taken 61 pictures. I think they're predominantly online. I took those pictures online. But you only got 96 slots. So you've then got to, if you use them all up, you've got to then go and delete them or get them off social club somehow. So I prefer to just screenshot it and then you just get them off your PlayStation. So I personally quite like pictures like this, where it's like Arthur, like that's quite nice, where it's just him in a blue background, but that might just be a little bit too low. So let's bring it up just a little bit. And let's see rolling on the other side. Yeah, so that's rolled all the way around onto the right. I can't roll it around anymore. And I quite like that, but we've now got to do the focus again. So the pictures, it's all about sort of trial and error, just finding something that works, that you think looks good, but then play around with it as well. So like I put the exposure down on that picture that we just did, and then I put it back up, and I took two pictures like that, because sometimes it looks different, obviously, on your phone or on your computer. But yeah, so I quite like this one, because I quite like that it's just a solid blue behind him. It's almost like he's standing in front of a background. So that's quite nice. And this one could potentially work with a filter. So I will play around with the filter on this one, but I personally quite like this blue. Okay, I'm happy with that. I'll put the exposure up a tiny bit. Yeah, see, I think that's too bright, so I'm going to put it back down. Yeah, putting it back up. Yeah, I quite like that. And then let's see. Put the contrast just up, but just a little bit. And then I'm going to put the exposure back up now because I fiddled with the contrast. Yeah, so I think that's right. So I'm just going to take a picture now, as is, because I'm happy with this. And then I'm going to play around with the filters. So I'm going to try Noir here. I don't think it will work. That's not bad. The other thing you can do, obviously, is you can take the intensity down from the filter. So like that one works quite well with the filter just like at the lowest. So it's like I've barely touched the or I've so this one works quite well with the intensity down nearly all the way on this one. So that actually works quite well because it acts like a vinaigrette. I don't think I probably said that wrong as well. I think it's vinaigrette, not vinaigrette. Um, yeah, you can't actually do those on here. I thought you could. I've been playing different games. Yeah, so that works quite well because it's almost like that sort of vignette where it's like he's the center of the picture, so it works quite well because it draws your eye into that picture. Although to me, he now looks out of focus, so let me just fiddle with it just a little bit. Yeah, but again, it might just be the filter that I've just put on makes it look like he's out of focus. Yeah, I think it's the filter. So I'm going to leave that there, and I'm going to take that picture because I do think that's actually quite a good picture because it does work like a. Is it vignette? I think it's vignette. That's too dark. I think even with. Yeah, again, it's just created like a sort of natural vignette around him. But I've just taken that one. That one's quite nice. I quite like that because again, it's sort of the red pass, so it's brought out like the red colours that are already sort of in his look. So obviously your skin's a little bit red and the jacket's sort of a little bit red. So I will take that picture as well because that's quite nice. This is the yellow, I think. Blue, that's quite nice, but it's again a bit too dark. And then that's basically what we've got anyway. Let's just have a look at the noir. Yeah, so that's not too bad. I don't mind that. It's just a little bit dark, maybe. So I'll take the intensity off the filter. And I think I will take that because I do quite like that. So yeah, I think that's all I'm going to do on this pose. So let's ride around for a little bit and we'll see if there's any more that come up because I do want to show you some things using photo mode, which is pretty cool. That's my dog barking in the background in case you can hear it. I'm not sure if you can, but I think she wants her dinner. So I'm just going to ride out into the fields over here because what I want to show you using photo mode, because photo mode is also amazing for having a look at details in the game. I've found a lot out through using photo mode because as you could see from that camera, it gives you the mobility of being able to move the camera around and getting views on things that the camera in-game, which is a great camera, you know, spinning around, looking at everything, looking at your horse's expression, looking at Arthur's expression, it is great. But using photo mode, you can get really, really close in. So I want to do it before the light goes. Okay, so you'll recognize this bit because we're literally just by Horseshoe. On this big tree. Just outside of Horseshoe. You will see there is a bee's nest. I think you'll be able to hear it, but you'll also be able to hear buzzing. I think you can hear buzzing. So, if Arthur shoots it, he then starts getting stung by bees, which is a really cool detail in and of itself. But it's also great for then catching Arthur making certain expressions. Which is great, because then I also just think that Roger must have been like in the volume one day and they're like, okay, you're going to be pulling all these faces. I don't know, they probably would have told him why, but it's just like you see Arthur making like faces and he swats at them at certain points. So like that's not a bad facial expression, but I'll get another one. So see there, so then he swats. But yeah, that's all because I shot the bee's nest, which again, it's great details that, you know, you can shoot a bee's nest and then all of a sudden he's going to get swarmed by the bees, because you would get swamped by them. You can't see the bees, at least I don't think you can. Nah, it's just a broken bee's nest. But yeah, it's just great for like using it at, it's like, that's quite a good expression. But yeah, and I do this for ages. Like, I would just play around with things and just see, like, if you can get a cool expression from this. So like, I quite like the light here right now, and I like trying to manipulate the camera in a way that it looks like he was like looking at the camera, because I really do quite like this. I like this light right now. Because with the light as well, you just see so many details. Like, look at the details of his hat. Like, you can see the leather and like the rope that is around it. I'll try and get a better expression. Because it goes on for a bit. You'll like you can stand here for quite a while, and he'll just keep getting stung. So I feel bad that you sort of stand here and he gets stung a whole bunch. So like, even like, I quite like this picture. Like, I like the you see that in westerns quite a lot, where it's like the guy has his hat over his eyes, like he's taking a nap, but then he does a really cool like head movement and you like see his eyes. But I do like this sort of like the head down, the brim of his hat covering his eyes shot. I do quite like that one. No, that's a bit too low. So yeah, you can just play around with it. That's great. That's another good expression. But yeah, so that was one thing. The other thing that I can think of right now, because this is just a quick little, if you wanted to get involved, or if you wanted to try out, photo mode, because I'd never done photo mode in any video game until Red Dead. And then I did, and I just missed that perfect lighting. It's a very easy photo mode to learn. And you can get some great pictures out of it. So like, you can also get amazing landscape pictures. So this is one of my favorite bits in the map. I think I said it in the normal Let's Play. And then you can just zoom out. So I'm as high up as the camera will go. And I've also gone as far out as the lens would go. Now the lighting's not great in this bit. So I would wait until morning, I would wait until night. I'd either run off and go and do something. If I was playing in my first playthrough, I'd run off and I'd go and do a mission or do some side missions. What I'll do is I'll probably just camp up here, because there's another thing I wanted to show you, but I need the light, so I will just camp until morning. Okay, so I just camped out. It's now morning. Don't get your gun out. Okay.
That's good, boy.
Just quickly brush, because I want him to look good for this picture that I'm hopefully about to take. I just want to use, so this is known as the golden, I think it's the golden hour. I'm sure it's the golden hour in photography, where it's like either the sun going up or the sun coming down, and you just get this amazing light from the sun. So, let's see. See, I always get this as well. So it's either my horse making a stupid expression, but he's alright. Or Arthur making a silly expression. Okay, so that's not bad. They're both not making a silly expression. Yeah, let's leave that. I've personally, I find taking pictures while Arthur's riding very, very difficult, because it's usually like they're making a funny face, one of them's making a funny face, or I find the framing up to be a bit difficult. So I quite like that. I like that the light's obviously hitting them in such a way. Right, so I also like to follow lines with my photos, so I think this was about where it was, which is nice, it's a good picture. But with the horse's head kind of going down to the left, I like to tilt following that line, if that makes any sense. I might come around just a little bit. No, I liked it where it was. So this is just going to be a nice, simple, just picture of Arthur and Apollo riding. So again, I take the blur strength all the way down, or quite a bit down. And then I make sure that they're both in focus. That's nice. I'm going to take the exposure down just a little bit. And I'm going to put the contrast up a bit. Not too much. And then I'm going to turn the exposure up just a little bit. Although it looks like my horse's head is blown out just a little bit with the white, because that looks like it's quite white on that rock just above his head. But I don't mind that. I think that's alright. So I'm going to just leave that one as that one. And then really quickly, I'm going to try getting a really good silhouette. Now you can turn off his head using the right stick. So I always like to turn his head using the stick, so he's like looking in a certain direction. So he's looking out over there, but I want to properly do like a silhouette. So you get the sun in front, or the light source in front. Again, I like to roll the camera, so I preferred it rolled down to the left again. I'm going to put him not quite in the middle, because I quite like that negative space to the right and a little bit to the left, but it's more to the right. I also realized it's quite well lined up with, I think they were coyotes in front of me, so you can see there's a coyote just in between his arm and his body on the right hand side, and then on the left hand side you can just see a little coyote there, but it's quite nicely lined up in that little gap, which is a little bit satisfying. I think there, you can see them a bit better there. I think I'm going to leave it there. I don't know. Well, I quite like that, but I'm going to bring it out because I quite like having kind of almost like a full shot of Arthur. So I think, so I'm putting the exposure up right now, and that's a little bit too bright, so I'm going to bring the exposure down just a little bit, because obviously it's already quite a dark picture because we're behind Arthur and the sun's kind of hidden behind clouds. I think it's about to rain, so it's a bit dark naturally. So I'm just going to pop the contrast up, and that brings the darkness that I want from like a silhouette without completely blackening the picture itself. So we've still got that light coming from the sun, but Arthur is pretty much a silhouette. Now if I put it up even more, he really becomes a silhouette, but then I think the background, you lose the background a little bit too much, although I quite like that. So I'm going to take a picture like that. Actually, did I do the focusing? I don't think I did. So I'm going to put the contrast back up just so I can get the focus, so I can see what I'm doing. I think I did do the focus because I remember doing the blur strength. So I really want Arthur in focus, and I don't want the kind of the bits in front of him in focus. I really only want him in focus here. Okay, so then let's put the contrast back up. I think I had it about 8. So I'm going to take that picture. And then I'm going to bring the contrast just down just a little bit. Still up, so I think I'm going to leave it on about a 7. So it's still pretty much a silhouette because he's in pretty much darkness. But yeah, that's a pretty good picture. I think I quite like that. So that's what I do. I like getting silhouettes. And all you got to do is you just got to look for a light source. So I usually use the sun in game. You just look for a light source. You go to the back of Arthur or your horse in Arthur. You just fiddle with the exposure a little bit, usually bringing it down, and then you whack the contrast up, and you just get a really good silhouette. So there's those 2 pictures. So I do like both of them. I like the not so contrasty one, but then I also like the one where it's a proper silhouette. But for some it might just be a little bit too dark. Okay. I need my bow. Hit the horse. Okay, I do have them good. Okay. So this might take me a few attempts. Oh, there's a carriage. This might take me a few attempts, but if I've only got 2 small game arrows. Uh-oh. Okay, so I'm not going to go into the sun because I want people to see it, so this could take me a couple of tries and I've only got 2 small game arrows. So let's hope I do it. Okay, so let's hope that I can catch that. Don't be too far away. Oh no, it might just be a little bit too far away. No. Okay, so I need to be even quicker. You can see it a little bit there. But I want to get the front view of it. Alright. Okay, I think I've got that. Because I basically hit it as soon as he fired. Yes. Okay, so this is a small game arrow. If you've ever crafted a small game arrow in the game, you'll notice that he uses, I think it's a shotgun cartridge. He uses a shotgun shell whenever he crafts a small game arrow. And this is why. So on the end of it, on the end of the arrow, let's make sure it's in focus. Let me put the blur strength down. Okay, that's a bit better. So on the end of the arrow, he uses the casing, or the shell, or the cartridge. I think it's a shotgun shell. And he puts it on the arrow. And that's because with small game, you obviously don't want a bullet going through it or a pellet going through it because it will damage the meat. So it's kind of cruel, but you're more likely to bludgeon it than actually like the bullet going through it. But that's why when you craft a small game arrow, there's a shell casing on it. It's because it's used as the sort of the bit that bludgeons the little bunny. But I learnt that through using photo mode. Because I was just playing about with it. And playing about with it, and I was like, oh, I want to get a cool shot of Arthur firing an arrow. And so I literally just did exactly what I did. I was just like this, and I was like, oh, what's that on the end of the arrow? Because it looks different. And yeah, I just went in, and I was like, oh, that's the shell casing. That's where it goes. So yeah, there's a lot of other cool stuff that you can learn from using photo mode, and it's all usually about the cool little details in the game. Actually, I don't think it is a shotgun shell because that doesn't look like a shotgun shell. That looks more like a bullet casing. So I'm not sure. It's been a while since I've crafted anything in the game. But yeah, so that was something cool that I learnt while playing around with photo mode. That's actually not a bad picture. Yeah, that's not bad. But that's the end of my that's the end of my small game arrows.
What?
Okay. I may not be able to get this because you have to be extremely lucky, but I've got about 5 minutes left before I would have to stop
Yep.
recording. So I'm going to run around just a little bit around Hanover just to see if I can get lucky enough to see something. Okay. Oops, that's not what I want. I've been switching around between so many games that that's not where I was looking. I get I get confused with the button layouts. Where is it? Yes, that is what I want. Okay. We're going to follow this eagle.
Yeah.
And I'm going to hope that he's going to do something very cool that you then capture
There we go.
on photo mode if you're quick enough. Because you've got to be quick. You basically just look for any big bird. And if you follow them around...
Slow it up.
I don't want to go through that camp because they're going to get annoyed at me. My bad. That could have made a really funny picture. But I'm got eyes on the bald eagle. Got to get a bit closer to it, otherwise I'm going to lose it. It might not do it. This might just be a... Hey doggy, I've lost it in the sun. There it is.
Yeah.
I've lost it in the sun. No.
Easy now.
Don't think that's it. It might be it. It's flying a bit too quick. Nope, that's still it.
Yep.
There's a cliff right here. I don't want to fall down it.
Whoa. Easy.
Go on, eagle. You've got 5 minutes. You got 5 minutes, Mr. Eagle. Hoping it would do it soon. I love how I might actually get a picture of it now because it might be too high. Okay, if you look at the wings on it, you see like the tips are like turned upwards. If you watch a real bald eagle flying around, its wings do it as well. And it's just that little detail where it could, you know, they could have just made the wings flap and it's all fine and looks good enough because it's up in the sky. Who's going to look at it? Who's going to notice it? But, like looking at that right there, if I take this off, if someone said to me, that's a picture of a bald eagle, I'd be like, oh yeah, that's a picture of a bald eagle. No, it's a picture of a bald eagle from Red Dead. What? you know, it's those little details that just make this game just so wicked. Come on, Mr. Eagle. Come on. Although it's going to be probably typical Rockstar where, because you're looking for it, it's not going to happen. Come on. It's doing the circling, which is making me think it's about to do it. I'm a little bit too far away anyway, but... yeah, I don't think it's going to do it. I'm going to turn away and go, and he's going to do it. Alright, I'm not looking. I was watching for him to... basically any big bird, so an eagle, a hawk, owls do it too. I think I've seen an owl doing it. They will swoop down from the sky, and they pick up animals. I've seen them picking up fish, I've seen them picking up rabbits, I've seen them picking up snakes. I think I've also seen them picking up like rats and stuff as well, which is pretty cool. And you can watch and follow the whole, it diving, it picking it up, it's carrying it off. It's really cool, but I'm running out of time, unfortunately. So I think I will have to call it there. There's some bunnies here. I will get one more quick picture of Arthur going through Twin Peaks because it's one of my favourite bits of the game just because it looks so awesome. And I usually find, well, there's a great big dead deer there, which isn't... we'll just ignore the deer. So I usually like getting either quite high shots when it's like Arthur riding through on his horse. I quite like getting quite low down shots or quite high shots. So with the high shots, I would like to back out and get it from quite high up. That's, I think, a little bit too far out. But with Twin Peaks, it's difficult to then get Arthur in and the... it's difficult to get Arthur in and the... there we go. I quite like that. So, usually with taking pictures of Arthur from quite a long way away, or like with the landscape pictures that I take, I usually just don't do any blur strength. I usually take the blur strength all the way down, and then I usually push the focus pretty far, so like everything's in view and everything's everything's clear. So I like that. I like the lighting already, so I might just bring it down just a little bit. Not much though, just a little bit. And then I'm just going to put the contrast up just a little bit, because then those colours like really pop. And then I might bring the exposure up just a little bit. And yeah, it's the main thing for me with like these, like I call them the bigger pictures, where you've got kind of Arthur's quite a way away and you've got something else that you want to get in the picture. So for me, like the Twin Peaks and Arthur riding through, the bit that I struggle with is just finding a good shot. Like I've actually been very lucky where this shot is the first shot that I click the photo mode, and I actually quite like it. I like the way that Arthur looks, I like the way the horse looks. Because sometimes the horse just looks a bit ungainly when it's running. And especially with Twin Peaks, because they're so far apart and you need to get all of it in really to make the picture look good. Sometimes I struggle to get Arthur and the rocks in, but I actually quite like that. I think that's quite a good picture. I might just move it very slightly. I might just move the camera very slightly over to the right because that last little bit of the rock isn't quite in it. Yeah. But I didn't want it over quite as much. No, I can't get it. Come on, just over just a little bit. Yeah, okay. So yeah, that's going to be my final shot. I'm going to make sure I take the picture, which I just did. And I'm going to leave it on the screen as I sign out. So that is my just quick little sort of tips on photo mode in Red Dead. I am by no means virtual photography expert by any means. I've literally only just started within the last, I think, year. I didn't take any pictures in game until Red Dead. And so there's people out there that take way better pictures than me and have so much more better tips than me. But I've taken a lot of pictures in Red Dead. And so I like to think that I've got an okay eye. And I know what my style is. So I just wanted to share with you guys what I like to do, how I like to frame my pictures up, how I like to then fiddle with the exposures and the contrast and the rolling, and just that if I can do it, I think anyone's got a very good chance of being able to produce good pictures in Red Dead, because it's a very easy and it's a very simple photo mode as well. I think that's definitely helped with Red Dead, and the Red Dead photo mode in particular, is that it's a very easy, simple to use. The fact that you've got your free camera, I don't think I've taken any pictures using the orbital camera. I always use the free cam. So yeah, I just wanted to share with you a little video on how I take my pictures in Red Dead. In case any of you guys wanted to try taking pictures in Red Dead, I just wanted to show you just how easy it was, really, and that you can get really, really good pictures in Red Dead without much at all, because it's a very good photo mode, and a game as beautiful as Red Dead 2. It's not hard to find a good picture, and there's so much you can do. I've taken just portraits of Arthur, I've taken landscape pictures, I've taken pictures of like the wildlife, action shots. I don't think I did a single action shot. There's some great action shots that you can obviously get in Red Dead, getting the fire coming out of the gun after you've shot it, getting the bullet coming out of the gun as you've shot it, getting Arthur pulling a mean face after he's just shot the gun or shot someone. Even like the hand combat, you can get some great pictures. So I might do another video in like the more action pictures in Red Dead. But yeah, that was just my quick little video on how to take pictures in Red Dead. And if you would like to see another video like this, let me know in the comments. Let me know how you found it. Let me know if you've got any tips that I missed or that I don't know for taking pictures in Red Dead. I'd love to hear them. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please, if you liked it, could you hit the like button? It would be amazing if you could subscribe to the channel. And yeah, I will be back with our playthrough of Arthur very soon. Keep an eye out for the next upload, and I will see you all in the next one.